to the 2018 AIA New York State Design Awards. 28 projects were recognized for awards in 9 categories. Adaptive Reuse, Historic Preservation, Honor Award, Empire Stores, Brooklyn, New York. Studio V Architecture, in association with S9 Architecture and Associate Architect Perkins Eastman. Empire Stores is emblematic of Brooklyn's transformation from lapsed industrial powerhouse into a growing creative sector. This award-winning mixed-use development reimagines a vacant 19th century warehouse on the Dumbo waterfront as a contemporary creative workplace and community hub. The conversion of this 450,000 square foot complex provides Brooklyn's burgeoning tech triangle with much-needed office space, brings retail, dining, public space, and exhibition galleries to the neighborhood. The campaign of adaptive reuse celebrates and preserves the building's monumental presence on the waterfront, while improving circulation between Dumbo's urban fabric and the 85-acre Brooklyn Bridge Park. Architectural intervention transformed this massive building, once a barrier standing between the neighborhood and the park, into a public portal that reconnects the two zones. A passageway carved out of the masonry structure creates a pedestrian conduit between Water Street and the waterfront. A 4-story open-air courtyard excavated from within the center of the building serves as an immersive public space for building tenants, community members, and park visitors. Glass curtain walls line the courtyard, blending the contemporary and the historic to make visible the building striations. Shopping and a public food court at grade, galleries for the Brooklyn Historical Society on the 2nd floor, and multiple floors of open office space above. By adapting the rooftop into a landscape public terrace accessible from the courtyard, Brooklyn Bridge Park is extended into the building organically. This 7,000 square foot space augments the park's recreational facilities with a restaurant and beer garden and offers iconic views of the bridges and the Manhattan skyline. The reanimated complex features 380,000 square feet of creative office space over 5 floors, including a 2-story contemporary addition on the roof. Retail and restaurants constitute 70,000 square feet on the ground floor with 3,000 square feet of exhibition space on the 2nd floor. Adaptive Reuse, Historic Preservation, Honor Award. Larry Robbins House, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Studio Joseph. Built in the late 1800s, this residential house has undergone many transformations over its lifetime. The demolition of a deteriorated building, along with the strategic preservation of the southern facade, provides the opportunity for the reinvention and future home for the University of Pennsylvania's Undergraduate Department of Management and Technology. The design is primarily an expression of transparency, physical and cultural. Multi-height spaces are carved from the long, narrow site leading to a new steel and glass facade. As home to the oldest dual degree program at Penn and a gem of the university, it is located at the core of campus sharing party walls with the Alumni House and a fraternity to either side, both landmark structures. The new construction features exterior party walls, highly visible on the north end of the building. Pewter-colored manganese iron spot brick with matching mortar best related to the buildings to either side. On the 2nd and 3rd floors, the brick gives way to a steel and glass facade that features a 14-inch deep series of tapered, dark gray metal mullions and filled with tall glass panels. Inside, with space at a premium, the spaces are very efficiently planned. The use of a scissor stair and a well-organized core along the east wall maximizes usable space for gathering. The program is stacked from public to more private as one moves from the 1st to the 3rd floor, and includes spaces for informal student gatherings, a multi-use classroom, and study spaces with up-to-date technology. With emphasis on sustainability in systems and material selection, the building achieved LEED Gold status with a long-term commitment to respect the environment as a whole. This renovation is one that returns to the spirit of the original residential use and now holds the name of the distinguished alumni as Larry Robbins House. Adaptive Reuse, Historic Preservation, Honor Award. Congregation Kehileth Jeshurun Chapel, New York, New York. FX Collaborative. The Congregation Kehileth Jeshurun Chapel is inspired by ancient texts that describe the Holy Ark as a simple acacia wood box in the wilderness of Sinai. The deep blue ceiling's pyramidal form creates an asymmetrical soffit that can be read as both roof and celestial sky, and features a luminous opening from which a Ner Tamid light is suspended from the acacia wood ark. Vertical maple strip panels on the walls reinforce the metaphor of the forested wilderness, while the Jerusalem stone wall fragment behind the ark is a symbol of the Wailing Wall and a reminder of the project's below-grade location. The chapel's beautiful materials and exquisite craftsmanship combine in a modern composition of space and objects that reimagines the traditional synagogue at an intimate scale. The result is purposefully abstract, inviting deep contemplation. Adaptive Reuse, Historic Preservation, Award of Merit. St. Bartholomew's Episcopal Church Dome Restoration, New York, New York. Atchison Doyle Partners Architects. Since 1917, St. Bartholomew's Episcopal Church occupies a prominent Park Avenue site. Over the past century, the building's significance as a civic presence in the New York City architectural landscape has grown to be appreciated on a level equal to its religious purpose. The Dome of St. Bart's became the beacon of the church, offering respite and a powerful contrasting image to the neighborhood high-rise buildings. The dome is now considered the emblematic icon of St. Bart's. St. Bartholomew's Episcopal Church was declared a New York City landmark by the Landmarks Preservation Commission in 1967 and a National Register of Historic Places landmark in 2016. In 2008, St. Bart's commissioned a firm to identify various improvement projects to restore the church building and its facilities, and the restoration of the dome was identified as a vital project. A thorough investigation was conducted, and the investigation found that the stone cladding was deteriorating and water infiltration threatened the integrity of the steel tension ring. In 2015, the building committee authorized the design team to resume efforts for the dome restoration. Given the restart occurred 7 years later, non-destructive testing was performed to determine if any changes in conditions had occurred, and if other approaches to the restoration warranted consideration. With the exception of nuanced, detailed refinements, the dome restoration proceeded as originally approved. The construction process entailed the careful replacement of over 6,300 terracotta tiles on the dome, with historically appropriate artisan-crafted terracotta tiles with patterns taken from the original dome. In an era of computer scanning and laser recording, a genuine hands-on approach to the documentation of the individual tile patterns of the dome was required. The globe and cross that topped the dome were regilded and put back in place after the tiles were installed and blessed by the rector in situ. Adaptive Reuse, Historic Preservation, Award of Merit. The Rotunda at the University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia. John G. Wade Associates, Architects. Thomas Jefferson's University of Virginia has long been recognized as one of the most important works of architecture in the United States. It is a significant contributing structure to both a National Historic Landmark District and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The rotunda is the centerpiece of Jefferson's academical village and a symbol of the university. Constructed between 1823 and 1827, It originally housed the university library, classrooms, and laboratories, badly damaged by an 1895 fire that left only the original brick walls standing. It was rebuilt by Stanford White of McKim, Mead & White in what has been described as one of the earliest major historic preservation efforts in the United States. Over the years, the functions of the rotunda eroded as the construction of the new library and classroom buildings and the expansion of teaching programs diminished the role of the rotunda in the life of the university. This trend continued into the 1970s when the rotunda was gutted by a controversial and underfunded renovation based on inadequate historical research. The renovated building was intended to house the university president's office. However, it was never used for that purpose. The underutilized building was primarily used by prospective and graduating students, the former when visiting the school, the latter when proceeding down the lawn for graduation. In 2006, the university commissioned the preparation of a historic structure report to begin the long-term preservation of the building and once again incorporate it into everyday life of the university, where it will be utilized by students, faculty, administrators, the Board of Visitors, and visitors from around the world. Commercial, Industrial Large Project, Award of Merit. Turnstile at Columbus Circle, New York, New York. Architecture Outfit. Turnstile is a retail development that transformed a neglected passageway within New York City's subway system into a vibrant public space for shopping, eating, and gathering. The block-long concourse connects the Columbus Circle station to multiple sidewalk entries and building lobbies with over 80,000 people passing through it daily. The 30,000 square foot project includes the design and renovation of the central passageway and master plan and infrastructure installation for numerous stores and restaurants. The design embraces and celebrates the underground site's distinct features. MTA paraphernalia was stripped away to show off the century-old beams, columns, and vaults. New glass storefronts allow the vaults to pass over, providing a feeling of spaciousness. The decorative metal spine enclosure screens pipes, conduits, and devices along the central column line, with laser-cut openings derived from the station's historic tile patterns. The walking surface is made up of large black pavers arranged in a herringbone pattern to refer to the Gustavino tiles covering the vaults in Grand Central Station. New custom light pipes at entry ceilings are perforated tubes around LED strips integrated with the tangle of existing station conduits to further blur the line between architecture and infrastructure. The store spaces lining the concourse are intentionally small to allow for a diversity of businesses. The shops are identified with black and steel signs and hotspots where people pause to eat, talk, or buy something are highlighted with colorful flooring, kiosks, and tables. Interactive electronic columns, as physical objects and in their digital curation, further contribute to the vitality of the environment. The design celebrates this distinctly urban experience that elevates a daily common experience for city dwellers, making Turnstile a memorable urban place. Commercial, Industrial Project, Award of Merit. North Main, East Hampton, New York. Bates Massey and Architects. Many contemporary commercial structures are planned with inherent disposability, minimizing initial costs at the expense of fortitude and long-term usefulness. This owner-occupied project challenges the conventional approach, enhancing the property's value with durable material systems, flexible infrastructure, and adaptable spatial organization. Based on vernacular building traditions, simple forms and naturally weather-resistant materials are employed. Copper shingles will show the effects of weathering, but not succumb to them for at least 100 years. Similarly, the rain-screened siding of cedar planks will patina, but endure. Its longevity increased by an innovative fastening method of custom stainless steel clips, allowed to expand and contract and free of penetrations. the typical first point of failure. The boards will outlast typical cedar siding. A garden of beach grass insulates and protects the roof from sun and weather. Planted in modular trays, individual portions of the green roof can be removed for maintenance or to add future technologies such as photovoltaics. Future technological developments are accounted for inside as well. Reflecting the siding, interior walls are clad by the same system of boards and clips. The boards can be easily removed and replaced, providing access to continuous chases that contain the power distribution, phone, and data cabling, as well as HVAC ductwork. Additionally, the wood screens serve an acoustic purpose. The open-plan interior provides changing spatial needs. The hybrid steel and engineered wood structure allow for airy, day-lit spaces that can be easily reconfigured. Unlike many green buildings, this project attends to basic construction elements instead of relying on auxiliary technologies to make it sustainable. By simplifying the structure's configuration, minimizing building technologies, and facilitating future adaptation, the project attains timelessness. It will outlast its contemporaries and extend our natural resources. Institutional Honor Award, Cornell University, Upson Hall, Ithaca, New York, LTL Architects and Perkins and Will. The Sibley School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering is located at a critical intersection of the engineering quad. The project comprises the renovation and programming of the existing Upson Hall to accommodate hybrid engineering labs, classrooms, office and student project spaces. New social and gathering spaces are cantilevered from the original concrete structure and located at key connecting points in the project. The school's administrative hub is placed at the main entrance adjacent to a new communicating staircase that links classroom, faculty laboratories, graduate student spaces, and faculty offices. A custom 250-foot-long ceiling and display case housing the renowned Rollo collection of kinematic mechanisms animate the first-floor main artery. The expansive student project rooms and workshops occupy the entire lower floor and form a dynamic and accessible component of the renovation. Using a master plan to envision an energy-responsive recladding of 7 buildings that form the engineering quad, the repurposing of the 1956 Upson Hall building transforms a work of international modernism into a highly tuned, site-specific building, setting the precedent for the rejuvenation of the quadrangle. The original building was stripped down to the concrete frame to foster communication between the disciplines. Vertical public spaces are carved from the existing structure, creating visual and social connections. Through an integrated approach to facade design, combined with energy modeling, the climate-specific response of a transparent blanket was developed, calibrating open glazed areas to maximize daylight in Ithaca's overcast environment. With heavily insulated walls to perform within a cold winter climate, the new facade transformed the building into a contemporary, energy-efficient, and flexible research laboratory. Institutional Honor Award, National Museum of African American History and Culture, Washington, D.C. Freelon Ajay Bond, Smith Group. The National Museum of African American History and Culture commemorates the Black community and the impact African Americans have had on the United States and beyond. It operates simultaneously as a museum, a memorial, and a space for cross-cultural collaboration and learning. Devoted to documenting African American life with collections covering slavery and freedom, military engagement and Reconstruction, segregation and civil rights, and cultural expressions of all forms, the museum rethinks the role of civic institutions in the 21st century, offering new modes of user experience and engagement. It presents a new form of museum, one that prioritizes cultural narrative and identity, and that gives form to untold stories, establishing an empowering emotional context for positive social change. The design approach to the museum establishes both a meaningful relationship to its site on the National Mall and a strong conceptual resonance with America's deep and long-standing African heritage. The design rests on 4 cornerstones: the corona shape and form of the building, the bronze filigree screen, the lenses framing views through the envelope, and the extension of the building out into the landscape, the porch. The distinctive 3-tier corona is inspired by the Yoruban caryatid, a traditional West African wooden sculpture that bears a crown. The angle of the tiers mimics the angle of the top of the Washington Monument obelisk. The pattern of the 3,600 bronze-colored paneled screen was inspired by the ornate ironwork of Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, and New Orleans, Louisiana, much of which was created by enslaved and free African Americans. Piercing through the museum envelope, the lenses provide the only unobstructed views of many of the National Mall's most important landmarks. The building's main entrance features a front porch with a reflecting pool, welcoming all who approach. It refers to both the importance of the porch in African American diaspora, as well as the museum's location on the mall, the nation's front lawn. Institutional, Award of Citation. New York at its core. New York, New York. Studio Joseph. The Museum of the City of New York undertook this first ever permanent exhibition of New York City's 400-year history in an iterative process that included a multidisciplinary, collaborative design team. In 3 separate galleries on the museum's ground floor, the story unfolds through object-rich analog displays coupled with immersive media in an environment that is dramatic in its modernism and reductive in materiality. At both ends of a long connective circulation path, a full wall of LED displays present pixelated images that draw the visitors towards the north and south galleries. Seen as art piece rather than a conventional slideshow, images become more abstract as one approaches, a visual cue to move inside the gallery. Artifacts and large-scale media are embedded in a bold armature of constructed chronology. 8 niches have jewel boxes for individual objects floating above bed cases with supportive documents. At the rear, a series of large projected images of the past dissolves to today's view of the same location. Visitors are drawn to greater understanding of change over time. Interactive totems with touch-activated screens showing unexpected people, objects, and even animals, bringing the past to life. Moving images and sound dominate a dense presentation of over 400 artifacts. Projections of period footage onto scrim use thematic music and voice to portray the excitement of the city. Content emphasizes harsh realities of the 20th century challenges, mixing iconic characters with untold tales. A large multi-monitor display allows visitors to touch silhouettes of people with embedded imagery to unpack further content via a large-scale interactive presentation. Big data defines bigger issues of housing, nature, social challenge, environmental issues, and transportation networks. Themes are presented for interactive investigation in an area where visitors can create their own city and then through Connects, a GPS activating system, see a realistic image of themselves in a large media wall. This series of media is complemented by a large what if table to facilitate further dialogue. There, visitors pose and answer questions about New York's future and see examples by experts in various fields of transportation, housing, resilience, and other. Institutional Honor Award, Ross School of Business, Phase 2, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Cohn Pedersen Fox Associates. Phase 2 of the Ross School of Business secures the school's status as one of the premier business schools in America. with a world-class facility and an enduring local identity. The project included a new academic building, renovation and recladding of the existing library, and the selective recladding and overcladding of several other structures to create a unified expression for the business school complex. The project adds classrooms, study spaces, and faculty and research offices, and enhances non-academic operations to improve the student experience, including student life, financial aid, admissions, and on-site recruiting for careers. Phase 2 is part of a larger project to remake the entire Ross School of Business over the past decade. Phase 1 completed in 2009, a significant replacement of 4 buildings centered around a major skylit winter garden, which serves as a main hub of campus life. 4 years later, Phase 2 continued the work of remaking the campus, adding another significant academic building, replacing or upgrading the remaining facilities, and unifying the complex in a common architectural language. Phase 2 will provide state-of-the-art space for student services, executive education, career services, as well as additional classrooms and student study spaces. Phase 2 completes the overall business school complex with new entries, landscape courtyards, and a coherent circulation system that connects the complex's major thoroughfares. The project also provides a common architectural language for the larger facility. Phase 2 complements the spaces of Phase 1, with quiet study areas to maker spaces to the Center of Centers, a space that gathers most of the school's centers and institutes into a single collaborative setting. Phase 2 also sees the transformation of the Kresge building from a traditional business library into a research and information center geared towards the needs of 21st century learning. Institutional Award of Merit, Rutgers University, Camden. Nursing and Science Building, Camden, New Jersey. Perkins Eastman and Associate Architect, Nelson Architects. After several decades of disinvestment and decline, the City of Camden, New Jersey has recently shown a commitment to revitalization and community building. This commitment is realized in the new Rutgers University Camden Nursing and Science Building. The building announces the seriousness about the revitalization efforts that are positioning Camden as a major player in eds and meds. Located adjacent to City Hall, abutting the heavily trafficked light rail station, the building significantly improves Camden's urban context, capturing the value of access to transportation, a waterfront, historic building stock, and an activated pedestrian realm. Located on a triangular site on the edge of City Hall Plaza, between the Rutgers Camden campus and the Cooper Medical Center, the building is the first step in an effort to help revitalize Camden by building a corridor connecting Camden's University District with the Cooper University Hospital and Cooper Medical School of Rowan. The building includes storefronts to activate the street and provide a connection to the activity from the light rail. Instead of shying from this challenging context, the design embraces it through its expressive, multi-dimensional facades that showcase the activity within. To the southwest, a 4-story glass facade along the building's diagonal overlooks South Camden, allowing the facility's internal academic functions to be on display to the city, and its occupants are constantly connected back to the urban context while going about their day. With a fixed budget and lack of dedicated exterior space, the building needed to accommodate a nursing student population that would largely remain in this single facility throughout their academic careers. This demanded an interior environment that could satisfy the learning, socializing, collaboration, and study habits of students as they move through the 4-year program. While the building siting establishes an important street edge, its position uniquely isolates it from the surrounding context, allowing it to be understood as a 3-dimensional sculptural object in the heart of Camden's downtown. The exterior design was developed to function at different scales, while it and the interior palette takes cue from the seemingly random patterns of DNA genotyping. Institutional Award of Merit, Seaglass Carousel, New York, New York. WXY, Architecture and Urban Design. Once a 2-acre area of asphalt, the Battery Bosque now fulfills the Battery's potential as a destination at the tip of Manhattan, full of spaces to sit, eat, and play, and a lushly planted porch to the vast acreage of New York's Inner Harbor. A Nautilus shell of stainless steel and glass, the Sea Glass Carousel anchors the park with an experience of pure delight between water and land. A ride through the ocean amidst a school of luminescent fish. Sea Glass's underwater theme echoes its location on the site of the first home of the New York Aquarium, and the completion of the carousel demonstrates a collaboration of sight, art, and architecture. The spiraling shell structure was sited to capture harbor breezes and allow the ride to rely on natural ventilation. Scenes of undersea life are projected on the shell's interior, creating an entirely new experience for visitors. The project transforms the traditional ride structure into an instrument of the future with digital projection and electrified glass technology, or smart glass. An audio component combines environmental noise made by the moving parts of the structure with amplified musical scores recorded live by New York City musicians. Using the paradigm of the magic lantern, the smart glass facade changes from clear to opaque as the ride begins, dimming the space to capture the experience of diving underwater. As the carousel spins, digital projections cast moving images on the interior of the building's shell, animating the voyage. The translucent fiberglass figures of dolphins, turtles, clownfish, and other marine life move in unique multi-point action, maneuvered by motors under the floor. This innovation allows for full visibility across, around, and through each creature with no center post. Visitors sit within rather than atop the figures, enabling them to become fish in this aquatic adventure. The result is a park that is rich and colorful in its planting and playful in its architecture, with a new public space experience to create a distinctly contemporary, ecologically themed environment. Institutional Award of Citation. Carriage Houses and Grounds. Staten Island, New York. Rice and Lipka Architects. The program for the Carriage House project was to provide secure storage for the Staten Island Historical Society's 62 historic carriages, including carriage restoration space, multi-purpose space for educational events, and exterior spaces for SIHS and historic Richmond Town hosted events and fundraisers. Originally programmed as a single 3,600 square foot Butler-type building that would house a third of the collection, the design team employed a steel arch span system, increasing the area to 11,300 square feet capable of housing the full collection. The project was completed for $1,780,000, $157 per square foot, including site work utilizing coated, deeply corrugated steel arches that perform as both structure and skin at the proposed spans. It is the most economical building system available. The linear proportions of the building allow for the greatest density of carriages by double parking and minimizing the number of circulation aisles. Highly reflective, brightly colored powder-coated aluminum and wall panels differentiate the houses from each other. Each is coated with 1, 2, or 3 flush circular panels to indicate the house number. Porches at each end of the houses are set at varying depths to create covered spaces for sponsoring outdoor events. The 3 buildings are arrayed around a central exterior circular zone, or access hub, that provides access for incoming/outgoing carriages, space for SIHS events, and the required turnaround for fire department vehicles. The free building arrangement was organized to frame grassy exterior areas between the sheds and engage the existing dense surrounding woods to shape and give character to additional event spaces. The building's positions were calibrated to minimize disruptions to the existing grade, preserve the existing trees on the site, and maximize porous surfacing for shared access to the houses with a retention system below the central hub. Interiors Honor Award. Joseph D. Jamail Lecture Hall, New York, New York. LTL Architects. For this important lecture space in McKim, Mead, and White's historic Pulitzer Hall at Columbia University's School of Journalism, the design was intentionally developed to have a dual personality. To accommodate the broad range of functions required, from lectures to classes to film screenings, the plan is open to multiple configurations via a series of mobile furniture components, including a transformable stage and a moving storage wall. At ground, the space is defined by a patterned dark wood floor that reflects traces of the room's original coffered ceiling and beamwork. By contrast, the redesigned ceiling is highly articulated, developed as a contour of performance, with custom panels that provide for lighting, mechanical systems, and acoustics. The shape of the ceiling is adjusted to allow for views to the monumental windows and extends to surface the mezzanine at the back of the space, referencing the form of the classical coffers while adapting to contemporary requirements. The project engages the need to imaginatively transform historic facilities to accommodate contemporary educational requirements, creating a space that both acknowledges and reinvents its past. While the floor reflects the building's original architecture and materiality, it also acts as a programmable surface for new forms of collectivity and collaboration. The custom ceiling deploys digital fabrication techniques to translate the historical architecture of the coffer into a complex functional surface, formed from recycled acoustical felt modules and shaped to incorporate all the space's technical systems, from diffusers to a large-scale cinematic projector. Designed to replace a generic flat-hung ceiling installed during a previous renovation, the new ceiling is suspended using the previous ceiling substructure, negotiating economic, constructional, and functional demands while creating a new architectural identity for this important public space within the university. Interiors Award of Merit. New York Dermatology Group, Integral Health and Wellness, New York, New York. Brandon Hall Architecture. The New York Dermatology Group, Integral Health and Wellness acquired 7,000 square feet on the second floor of a landmark building designed by John Duncan in 1905 for Lord & Taylor. Situated within the historic Ladies' Mile district of Manhattan, the space comprised one open floor with 10 magnificent windows overlooking Fifth Avenue. The project includes treatment rooms, cryotherapy rooms, blood work, body work, and nutritionist rooms alongside a retail area, reception and other support spaces. The treatment areas were pulled away from the large light-filled windows, organizing the programmatic requirements within one freestanding enclosure, sitting centrally within the space, freeing up the perimeter. Patients and staff circulate along the long line of windows to enjoy the light, air, and views to the city. A free-form object within the larger volume, the cladding to the treatment rooms appears soft and sensuous, acting as a counterpoint to the grittiness of the streets below. Working with yacht interior specialists in Italy, a unique cladding system based upon a sketch depicting the form of a curtain was developed, with its undulating rhythmic lines, handmade in yachting fiberglass as if frozen in time, with a subtle opalescent color. The intention was to create spaces that would be calm and contemporary, a sanctuary from everyday life in the city, with lighting playing an important role. Reclaimed dark oak flooring from Germany and custom-stained walnut ceilings define the horizontal planes of the space. Treatment room cladding is framed with bronze trims, and signage is integrated into the wall system. This total design approach resulted in the development of a new range of furnishings, showcased in the waiting area of the Wellness Center. Originally the freight entrance to the building, a new and discreet VIP entrance from East 19th Street, minimally designed using blackened steel, takes its cue from examples of historic freight entrances in the district. This entrance leads to a private reception desk on the second floor, Interiors, Award of Merit. The Associated Press. New York, New York. TPG Architecture. Founded in 1846, the Associated Press is an American multinational nonprofit news agency headquartered in New York City. The architect was engaged to design the AP's new global headquarters as they relocated from Midtown Manhattan to 4 floors at 200 Liberty Street in Brookfield Place. Moving across from the World Trade Center allowed the AP to return to its original roots downtown and offered them cost savings in downsizing their space by 40%. The project permitted the AP to revitalize their workspace with a more open office and collaborative spaces to accommodate changing work habits and their innovative news culture. The architect strategy and innovation team and designers worked with the AP through the change management process to better conceptualize a more open, team-centric workplace. The architect worked with the client to reduce the quantity and size of offices, creating a more open plan to better promote communication. The 5th floor octagonal rotunda serves as a hub design newsroom, representing the flow of information to the editorial team at the center. To heighten the sense of connectivity and promote cross-collaboration, their feature staircase was inspired by this transmission of data, with thousands of hanging tiles mimicking the numerous stories produced by the agency. The AP has many unique specialty spaces, including a 24/7 broadcast studio, a suite of green rooms and support spaces, and a data center. The office includes a mix of formal and informal collaboration rooms, executive offices, and board rooms. Their cafe serves as a multi-purpose space for large functions, such as tracking the presidential election exit polls. The architect's branding and graphics group helped design gallery walls, as well as an area to house the AP's extensive archive collection, celebrating their 170-year history and Pulitzer Prize-winning achievements. The new offices reflect the AP's rich heritage and bolsters their reputation around the world. Interiors, Award of Merit. Virgin Airlines Clubhouse, LAX, Los Angeles, California. Slade Architecture. The clubhouse puts a distinctly Southern California spin on Virgin Atlantic's warmth and individuality. The lounge recalls LA's warm sunsets, flowing surf, laid-back lifestyle, mountain backdrops, smooth curves, and sculpted surfaces. The existing rectangular space had windows on the north and east sides and demising walls on the south and east sides. 2 transparent walls and 2 opaque walls. By creating a diagonal between the northwest corner and southeast corner, 2 triangles were created with a diagonal line forming the shared hypotenuse. The 2 sides of the triangle on the east side are glass, and the 2 sides of the other are opaque demising walls, creating a light-filled public side for passengers and an opaque private side for service functions. The diagonal sculpted flow wall is the hypotenuse which mediates between the dark and the light triangular spaces. The flow wall starts at the reception and continues into the space, cutting diagonally through the lounge as a backdrop for the clubhouse, opposite the 2 exterior window walls that provide continuous views of aircraft, runways, and the Hollywood Hills with the iconic Hollywood sign. The triangular shape also creates a forced perspective that transforms a user's perception of the space as the user changes position, adding to the sense of variety and discovery within the lounge. A bright media installation provides a satisfying and immersive focal point on the apex of the triangle, opening up to create the dining area. In order to fully reveal the double-height space between the floor and the roof, while allowing for ductwork to the perimeter, a membrane ceiling that stretches upward to 2 glowing skylights at either end of the space was used. This is a subtle reference to the sky, upward flow, and cloud-like softness. It also further differentiates the spaces below by radically changing the ceiling height. The sculpted language works with the flow wall to create sinuous sculpted conditions at the 2 boundary conditions. This sculpted shape also creates 2 zones of increased intensity at either end of the space to further differentiate the singular open space. International Honor Award, Chungnam Provincial Office, Chungnam, South Korea, John Reed Architecture and Architect of Record, Moyoung Architects and Engineers. This project is a result of a second stage invited design build competition sponsored by the South Korean government's Public Procurement Service. The new government center, part of recent efforts to give more autonomy to the outlying provinces, is located in Chungcheong-nam-do, just over 2 hours south of Seoul by automobile. The site, which sits in the heart of the Korean breadbasket, is at the center of a newly planned city, which straddles the common boundary of 2 districts. The organization of this new city administrative quadrant takes its clues from the surrounding green mountainous landscape and the physical transformation of the district boundary separating Yuseong-gun and Hongseong-gun districts to weave together the 2 districts into a unified symbol of government. 2 conceptual principles guided the development of the design. First, the notion of turning the entire site into a large park-like garden. Second, the concept of representing the seat of government as an abstracted mountain range, symbolic of Korea itself, of which some 80% is composed of mountains and uplands. Reportedly, early European visitors remarked that the country resembled a sea in a heavy gale because of the many successive mountain ranges that crisscross the peninsula. This administrative center celebrates Baekje culture, the historical and idealized Baekje countryside depicted through paintings, surviving temples, sacred burial grounds and artifacts, describes a sinuous and soft landscape. The design takes this idea and transforms it into a modern parkland with spaces for public gatherings, exhibitions, performances, sports, and gardens delineated by the soft curves of the land. With its inherent flexibility, the design for the new complex enhances the workplace environment and energy efficiency. Green roofs limit heat gain, provide thermal mass, and control water runoff. The building's narrow profile and efficient louvered facade system ensures access to natural daylight and reduce the need for artificial illumination. Solar panels integrated into the roof system provide electricity and hot water. Underfloor heating and air conditioning linked to the geothermal heat pumps reduces energy usage. A central circulation spine with communicating stairs encourages employees to walk rather than ride the elevators. International Award of Merit, Tivoli Jørna, Copenhagen, Denmark. Pacob Fried and Partners Architects, an architect of record Ramble. The enduring beauty of Tivoli Gardens, now 174 years in the making, lies in its salubrious foundational idea to be a recreational fantasy park serving a substantial and active city. The Jørna project has been a privileged opportunity to engage with this extraordinary place and to make a contribution to its storied history. The original character of Tivoli as a place of amusement, culture, and recreation has been sustained by a commitment to constant change and self-renewal. Janus-like, it looks to both the past and the future. The new building, placed in this historic setting, is intended to gracefully anticipate and accept the overlays that will inevitably accrue with time. The key architectural idea for Tivoli Jørna was derived from the fortification walls and moat that historically enfolded the city, and that today remain imprinted on the garden's layout. Just as these walls form the boundary of the city, so is the new building a new edge for the garden. It is an inhabited zone that both engages and entertains. It looks inward to the garden and outward to the city. The new building is both a framing portal and a curving undulating mirror. A portal to the fanciful world of Tivoli and a mirror amplifying the very real and vivid life of Copenhagen. It is a harmonizing mediator between the 2 worlds. Cantilevering out on the city side, the building shares in the vitality of the street. It enfolds rather than delimits by capturing the nuances of changing light and unfolding with passage-by. Its variable form enriches the experience of passers-by. From within, the visitor is invited to drift above and along Bjørnshortsgade. On the garden side, Its terracotta terraces weave together and step back, exposing the Copenhagen sky. Hemmed with lush plantings, these terraces present panoramic views of the beloved Pantomime Theater, Tivoli's stately trees, and the relaxed life of the garden playing out below. Embedded in a city of practical and material reality, Tivoli is a place that invites involuntary dreaming. The new building has already begun to find its place in the public imagination that has so long and so widely embraced the buoyant spirit of this remarkable garden. Residential Multifamily Award of Merit, Pier House and One Hotel Brooklyn Bridge, Brooklyn, New York. Marvel Architects, Design Lead and Architect of Record, Perkins Eastman. Hotel Architect, Inc. Architecture and Design, Hotel Interiors. Michael Van Valkenburg Associates, Landscape Architects. Pier House is comprised of 106 condominium units, a 300-car below-grade parking garage, 17,000 square feet of event space, and a 195-key hotel in a 620,000 square foot complex of connected buildings ranging from 4 to 10 stories. Pier House performs as an extension of Brooklyn Bridge Park, a verdant backdrop recalling the high, sandy bake of pre-colonial Brooklyn Heights, screening urban noise while facilitating waterfront access. The building presents two faces. The west elevation cascades towards the park, while the east elevation rises steeply from Furman Street, responding to the urban fabric of narrow streets and nearby expressway. This Janus condition informs two distinct facades: innovative residential floor plans and skip-stop circulation. The residential buildings employ a repeating module of distinct duplex houses with terraces on the park and harbor views. Their double-height interior spaces and multi-level plans reinterpret the classic Brooklyn brownstone in a multi-family structure. All residential units are floor-through with east and west exposures, providing natural ventilation that filters harbor breezes through the building from park to street. This porosity continues at grade, where public walkways through the building connect Furman Street and the park. The complex respects important view corridors from the neighborhood to the Brooklyn Bridge. Its terraced forms break its imposing mass and orients each residential unit to a stunning view of the New York Harbor or the Brooklyn Bridge. Intensively planted roofs serve as the building's fifth facade. Starwood Capital Group's One Hotel is an urban threshold to the park. With a 40-foot-tall public plaza, double-height lobby, outdoor dining, event spaces with glass walls opening directly on the park, and roof terrace drawing the park and its visitors into the building. The project will achieve LEED Silver certification. Residential Single-Family Detached, less than 2,500 square feet, Award of Citation. Ankrum Barn, Ankrum, New York. Worrell Young Architecture. Located in Ankrum, New York, on a 30-acre property with a traditional existing house and other structures, this modern barn adopts an unmistakably contemporary design approach, while incorporating key elements of agrarian vernacular of the Hudson Valley region. The building's overall form is clean and simple, and its volume is a single, unobtrusive gabled roof structure that nestles into the hillside with retaining walls that create a drive court between the barn and the house. The 1,500 square foot barn accommodates storage for 2 cars, along with a dedicated garden potting area and a flexible, covered outdoor room. This space offers a dramatic vantage point onto the property and frames the Berkshire Mountains beyond. Inside, the prefabricated wood scissor truss structure and wood framing is left exposed. Material selections throughout were made to be durable and require little maintenance given the climate zone. The roof is black metal, and the exterior is clad in vertical black-stained hemlock wood siding, while the interior is clad in the same hemlock wood but left natural. Residential Single-Family Detached, less than 2,500 square feet, Award of Merit. Black House, Sagaponack, New York. Sabbath Architects. This project is an adaptive reuse of a quintessentially humble ranch home dating back to the post-war era. The design forms privacy zones that allow for multiple uses within the confines of a small footprint. The house was expanded by a private courtyard, an indoor-outdoor dining space, and an art studio. All these spaces are simultaneously linked and hemmed in by a glazed vestibule that also serves as the entrance. Inspired by a piece of furniture designed by AIANYS for the Danish design group Moi, the architects developed an exterior skin of black rubber and recycled plastic. The rubber serves to seal the existing structure from the elements, and the recycled plastic screen forms a protective barrier for the rubber skin, while also doubling as a sunshade to mitigate heat gain on the black surface. Residential single-family detached, over 2,500 square feet, Honor Award, Georgica Cove, East Hampton, New York. Bates Massey and Architects. A couple with property on a cove overlooking the ocean asked for a house that would be comfortable for just the two of them, while allowing the house to grow on busy weekends to accommodate their guests. To instill the desired sense of comfort and peace, it was important that the design blend with a pastoral setting and vernacular building traditions, shingle-style homes and barns that are often built and added to over time. Historic precedent studies revealed that referencing New England connected farms could achieve both goals. Connected farms aggregated over time, interconnecting multiple buildings with distinct uses. The architectural style of the house was applied to subsequent buildings to unify the assembly. But partitions within provided the necessary separation between uses. One volume was often offset or rotated from the next to provide greater access to light, air, and privacy from the other functions. The program of this house is divided into its owner's bedroom and office, kitchen and family room, formal living and dining, and guest rooms. The spaces are arranged around a courtyard to create visual and physical connections between them, but can be broken by large sliding doors. Each structure has an independent mechanical system, allowing it to be shut down when unoccupied, allowing the livability of the house to expand and contract. A limited palette of materials and details unifies the various spaces and responds to the local climate. The cedar shingles are scaled up to the size of boards to cover the roof and side walls. Cedar screens provide privacy and filter light. A marble plinth filled with sand elevates the house above the floodplain, while also creating dry wells to accept stormwater runoff. Oak floors and millwork run throughout. The design repurposes the historic typology of the connected farm to suit the timely needs of the site and the family. By acknowledging the area's history and tradition of building, this home is an evolution of its cultural expression. Residential single-family detached, over 2,500 square feet, Award of Citation. Cut Triplex, Chicago, Illinois. Space Cutter, on a lot next to a south-facing alley. The cut triplex townhouse balances privacy and openness, maximizing the narrow but deep property to carve out a light-filled 5,300 square foot residence. The design centers around different qualities of light. The clients wanted to take advantage of the open space of the alleyway while retaining a sense of privacy. Behind the monolithic black manganese brick facade lies an inviting and light interior. From the front of the house, an open strip of glass travels up to the second floor, wrapping around its 60-foot-long south facade, and to the back, where it flows down into the backyard terrace. This ribbon of natural light is framed by a projecting fin of rich light that extends equally to the exterior and interior of the house to emphasize the insertion and provide shading. The entrance opens upward with light wells along the front and back. Reaching from the first to the second floor, these double-height openings bring light to each end of the residence and give a sense of weightlessness to the house. On the third floor, which holds 4 bedrooms, window sizes and their positioning vary, giving each room a unique quality of light. The first floor consists of a piano room, which leads past a central stairwell and an office space, to a cozy living room at the back of the house. This family room is anchored by built-in bookshelves and a fireplace, and is illuminated by a large wall of windows and sliding glass doors that lead to the backyard. From the living room, a back stair offers an express route to the large open kitchen on the second floor, which is flanked by a formal dining area and informal family table in the back. With southern light streaming in, artificial light is rarely needed during the day. The central stairwell runs as a spine through the house, connecting the basement to the rooftop terrace. Unbuilt. Licensed more than 10 years. Award of citation. Houston-Galveston Area Protection System. HGAPS. Galveston Bay, Texas. Rogers Partners. HGAPS is a potential surge protection system where the Mid-Bay Barrier Islands and Mid-Bay Gate are envisioned as a cost-effective system that will protect both the vital industrial infrastructure of the Houston Ship Channel and the communities that line the western shore of Galveston Bay. Given the substantial investment that any storm protection system represents, the elements of that system must perform multiple functions at all times. During storm events, the primary function as a protective barrier is clear. But what happens the rest of the time? The islands will be programmed as active recreational amenities for the Houston and Galveston Bay communities, from marinas for sailboats and sportscraft, to sandy bayfront campsites, to an expansive network of bike, hike, horse, and running trails. The islands will offer new ground and amenities for the enjoyment of the bay by visitors and residents alike. This constructed archipelago will also create new habitat for coastal and bay flora and fauna, with a range of conditions that can support the bay's remarkable ecological diversity. The Mid-Bay Barrier Islands are conceived not just to solve a problem, but also create a comprehensive new relationship with and understanding of the bay. In the way that great infrastructure projects like the Golden Gate Bridge and Chicago's Navy Pier have contributed to the cultural quality of a region and become celebrated icons of their cities, HGAPS provides protection while embracing the opportunity to do more for the region. Unbuilt. Licensed more than 10 years. Award of citation. Missing Voices. Princeton, New Jersey. Studio Joseph. Markers connect a place to its meaning. A marker's physical presence holds symbolic value based on its position and cultural context. Scudder Plaza, adjacent to Wilson School of Government, is a prominent site at the core of the campus. The university asked that Wilson Marker be a place to tell the story of Woodrow Wilson's legacy. Missing Voices metaphorically recognizes Wilson's racism, the people he did not listen to, women, people of color, and immigrants. The design includes 3 gestures that, taken together, offer opportunities for community engagement: voices, conversation, and canvas. At the center of the plaza, bronze plaques embedded in the granite paving demonstrate the power of incremental over monumental. Composed in a randomized layout, they emerge from the entrance as a brilliant array. The plaques punctuate the existing gray paving. Wordless, they carry a more symbolic message that can change over time. A linear granite seating is replaced by an array of new benches designed to encourage people to gather for casual conversation or directed learning as an outdoor classroom. The wood slat forms are commodious, but echo the dimension of the markers in their incremental structure. Comfortable and informal, they bring Missing Voices into the conversation. A media canvas runs the length of the north boundary. It is a data-driven light display that can be seen both day and night. It is activated by quotes that emanate in light from behind its surface. The letters fade and shine with activity, varying in intensity. Translucent concrete has embedded fibers that give it an authentic presence and density without using a glass screen or LED monitor. Anyone can enter thoughts and then populate them to the digital canvas of Missing Voices. A user can opt to receive a notification or reminder as to when the item will appear. A social sharing option will also promote these items across varied platforms. Urban Planning, Design, Award of Merit. Denver Union Station, Denver, Colorado. Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. Denver's historic Union Station is a Beaux-Arts masterpiece on the edge of the city's central business district. The project, transforming this station into a major regional transportation hub, converted 20 acres of formal rail yards into an urban transit district that orchestrates light rail, commuter and intercity rail, bicycle and bus routes, and pedestrian pathways into an intuitive intermodal hub. The focal point is the open-air train hall, which was conceived as an efficient and formally expressive means of sheltering multiple railway tracks. Its primary structural system comprises 180 feet of 11 steel arch trusses, clad in tension fabric. In profile, the canopy rises 70 feet at either end and descends in a dynamic sweep to 22 feet at the center, allowing the structure to protect the passenger platforms below while providing views of the station. A 2-block-long pedestrian promenade links the train hall to the Denver Union Station light rail terminal. An enhanced network of pedestrian and public spaces within and around the site seamlessly integrates the hub into the lower downtown district to the east and residential neighborhoods to the south, west, and north. Underground, the 22-gate bus concourse services 16 bus routes. The 980-foot-long terminal serves a dual purpose as a pedestrian concourse that connects the constellation of transportation programs distributed across the site. Vivid colors and natural lighting help passengers orient themselves, while terrazzo floors and sparkling yellow glass tilework elevate the ambiance of terminal beyond the often unimaginative depot experience. A series of skylights and glass pavilions flood the hall with daylight, infusing the station with a sense of motion and spaciousness. One of the largest of its kind in the United States, this redevelopment is a case study of the power of transit-oriented urban design. This public investment has catalyzed an unprecedented wave of private sector activity. Sensitive to its historic location, but forward-looking in its technical sophistication and city-building spirit, the station sets the standard for the 21st century intermodal hubs.